A continuación, Diego Cabezas Bravo, magíster en lingüística. Diego Cabezas Bravo, magíster en lingüística, convención en teorías del aprendizaje de la lengua inglesa y docente de la Universidad Metropolitana de Ciencias de la Educación, en conjunto con Lizbet Ibañez, estudiante de tercer año de licenciatura en educación, convención en inglés y pedagogía en inglés del mismo establecimiento, nos presentan Gender Identity and Heteronormative Imposition within Governmental Materials for EFL Adult Education. Por favor, vamos a ir.
Okay, first, I really don't like, I'm a teacher. I teach every day, so I really hate the microphone stuff.
But do you want the...
No, really. I don't want to hear myself with the speaker and everything, if you don't mind, right?
No, it's okay.
Okay, good, thank you. Because, okay, as I told you, I'm a teacher, and I really hate this technological stuff. And one of the things that I really like to, affirm when I introduce myself is that I'm not only a teacher of English or an English teacher and a professor at UMCE, that I'm educador popular. I work with adults in another kind of context, not in traditional context. So first, as you heard about the name is Gender Identity and Heteronormative Imposition within Governmental Materials for EFL Adult Education. This adult education is people that have not finished their studies, adults that have not finished their studies. Okay, for the context, we all know that these last few years, from around 2001, 2006, we have this general disconformity in educational matters, where not only students, also teachers and all population in general have gone out to the street to demand a better quality and free education. So in this respect, we know that the first government of Chile, Piñera, and now the second government of Chile, have made some, which I would say small reforms, in order to achieve social peace. But we all know that these small reforms have not been the final step to achieve this better quality education that we don't have. And in this respect, it's really shocking that not only the government, but also the student, and even the research community have forgotten about this big portion of the population, which is adult students who have not finished their compulsory studies. It's very important to state that more than 5 million people in Chile have not finished their compulsory studies. It's around a third of the population, so it's not a small portion. It's like a third. It's a big issue. But it's not being forgotten by the government, the social movement, and even the research community. So in this respect, we want to demonstrate and illustrate, and to give importance to the adult education. We've said the objective of demonstrate and illustrate the traces of gender identity imposition to maintain the current status quo in the EFL textbooks that adult students use to finish their studies. So for this, we've set some important concepts that we should know, like ideology, power, sexism, heteronormativity, but it's really long to address all of them. The most important one for us is to know that sexism is basically all these norms that are imposed or that discriminate a person based on their gender stereotypes. For example, when you hear the word secretary, a female. Or when you hear the word doctor, oh, that's a man. So this is basically sexism. And heteronormativity is to to think that heterosexual as something given, as something natural. So, oh, she's a girl, she must like boys. But we all know that's not true. That's not true at all. And the final one that's important is the concept of politics. That we can define the discourse. Find in these textbooks political discourse. We can take the position of Chilton and Shafter, who said that not only political discourse is not only the discourse generated by the politician, it's the discourse generated by every individual involved in the imposition or resistance of power. In this case, the government imposed their ideology through the textbooks. So, finally, it's political discourse. So this is like the small diagram that I designed to tackle these texts. It's really long and difficult to explain in this short period of time, but it's like basically based on the three-dimensional idea of discourse of Verkloff, the idea of oppressor and oppressed from Hegel to Freire in education. Is based on around 60 questions that I ask each text based on a model designed by Pennycook, an Australian professor. And that's it. And with all these questions and these ideas, we tackle each of the text, the reading passages present in the EFL textbook. Now we got the results.
So, as Diego said before, the corpus for the analysis consists of 7 reading passages taken from the materials provided by the Chilean Ministry of Education for Adult Secondary Education. These 7 reading passages are present in the 4 course books used in the teaching and learning of English as a foreign language. Mineduc provides these books for the first module of the English language course, and each book represents a unit included in the national curriculum for the teaching of English. The first book is called El Inglés en la Vida Diaria, in which there's only one reading passage about a family in England. And there are some other reading passages that are about physical descriptions, about family, about some surveys, etc. But since we don't have much time, we won't see all 7, and we'll see some examples. And these were the results. First, we'll see the text individually, and then we'll consider them all as a whole, and we'll analyze 3 linguistic dimensions: lexical option, lexical repetition, and grammatical arrangement. So here we have the text separately, and in text 1, as for sexism, we can see how males are located in a higher position about females. And as for heteronormativity, a married couple is the primal subject, including girls and a boy as part of the family. So, of course, the married couple is a woman and a man, and their children are a girl and a boy. In text 2, male individuals are placed as more important than female, and sexist stereotypes are included. In text 2, we also can find signs of heteronormativity, also a married couple with a man and a woman, and the father, in most of the stories, in all of the stories, is presented as the only economical support of the family. In text 3, we can see specific standards of beauty are set for women, and the lionization of men is one of the main elements. And in text 4, males are put in a higher level in comparison with females. Here we have an example of those texts, and this text is actually seen in a lot of the books. Like, the representation of this family is present in almost all stories. So we have a man and a woman. The man goes first, so we have Alex and then Sally. Alex is a teacher, and normally teachers have power in their classrooms, while Sally, who is her wife, works as a secretary. And as Diego said, this job is regarded as submissive, and you have to take orders, normally from a male boss. They have 2 children, Peter and Helen, and again, the male goes before the female. Peter is 12 and Helen is 10.
And you can see only one last name. So, as is a family in England, the girl has to take his husband's last name. So you have the loss of part of your identity if you were a girl.
And also, for you to become a teacher, normally you have to go to college or to university, but if you want to be a secretary, then sometimes it's not necessary. So you are implying that the male are more educated and they have higher education. So now, here we have the text analyzed by lexical option, grammatical arrangement, and lexical repetition. In sexism, we can see that power-related occupation is assigned to men and submissive to women, as we saw in the text. There are more men than women mentioned. There is a text that's about the most common names in the world, and there's a list, and for example, if the list had 20 names, just 2 were of females and the rest were male. There are more words representing males than females. Physical personal care words are only related to women, enhancing stereotypes. That is very common because there's a text that also talks about physical description, and it talks about female characters, and they only focus on their appearance. And then we have a grammatical arrangement, and as we saw in the text too, men go first. When in some texts, for example, you see that they say he is, and they write he is, and for the female, they just write she is with the contraction. They often use grammatical structures like be must always my ing, that is said to describe annoying behavior, and it's always used just for women. And repetition, men are the main characters, they are the support of their families, they are important people, while women are not so important in the texts. And for heteronormativity, in all the stories, there's always a man and a woman, they are married, they have children, and one conception of family is repeated. So from the analysis, we get some questions. Like, for example, does the state have the right to impose one ideological sexist discourse and one gender identity conception on the rest of the population? Should heterosexual conceptions of family and life be the only ones present in EFL textbooks? And why are the communities not entitled to decide the topics and views portrayed in EFL textbooks? We are talking about adults who are being educated. So normally, if you want to introduce these topics to children, you have to fight the parents, you have to fight the schools. But if we're talking about people who already have their ideas kind of clear, then why can't we introduce these topics in the textbooks if it's not something that is going to cause a discussion?
So here we have something like an example of the reading passages that you get from this book. And as you can see also, you have the males are smiling, giving like an idea of being attractive, and girls are really serious, And here you got Shakira. She's blonde in this text now, like all the gringos and all the British people. And she's from Latin America. So that's really curious. And one of the curious things of these books is that you have a listening, but they never have a CD or a tape with it. So the name of this reading passage is listening, but you don't have CDs. It's like, I thought it was a joke. It was a really funny one, but it was not. So you have this, and you have only positive adjectives for men, really simple ones, and negative for women, or just like neutral, like extravagant. But for men, you have famous, attractive, good-looking, and I don't think they're good-looking. Okay. So here's like, okay, this is not finished, but this could be like a proposal, what you can discuss in this textbook. Not only focus on the contents, the grammatical arrangement, the words, the vocabulary that you can teach with these books, but also the content. So in this kind of text, you have both. You can even have a picture of a boy-girl thingy. See, for every girl who is tired of acting weak when she's strong, there is a boy tired of appearing strong when he feels vulnerable. See, very simple adjectives, but you got more than just a text. So you can discuss more things than just the words. So one of the conclusions that you can take from this type of analysis is that you always have to go beyond the text. Not only when you are learning, but when you are teaching too. See that this text, and you don't have to be naive and just read, or this is funny. No, all these texts have something beyond it, and you have to be aware of this. So we have to empower the untrained reader. I don't want to quote anybody, but all these type of like theorists and intellectuals talk about what you were talking before, about prestige, about uneducated people. I really don't like, because they have a different cultural background. They're not uneducated. They have a different type of education. Maybe they didn't have the opportunity to go to school, but they know a lot. They know a lot more about life than I do. So they're not uneducated. They don't have. For me, they have prestige, but not for these kind of theorists. So we have to be aware that these texts are indeed political discourse. So you have to be aware of the materials that you're teaching with and learning. And in my opinion, you have to take a stance. Not only as a learner, as a teacher, and as a researcher. As Maturana said, you can be caught by the theoretical wheel and follow this so-called objectivity, or you can take a stance as a teacher and as a researcher and do something with your results, with your investigation, and be part of the social struggle, part of the social movement, and do something beyond just carrying out research, finish your thesis, and that's it. Anything else? And that's it.
So we have time for some questions. Does anybody want to ask?
Complaints?
First of all, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for listening.
I've got a question. Well, I understand that this has to do with policies and reforms in the education. But I want to know about specific oral program education. And what about these textbooks that you could do? But in the sense of what teachers, what can teachers do to be involved in the process of creating these textbooks?
Okay, the girl, this is the woman, who created these textbooks is a teacher. And she was hired by the ministry and all that stuff. Some of things are really curious and funny. is that the only like real policies that the governments have carried out regarding English education for adults is that they changed the logo. In the cover, you have the previous one from Piñera, and they changed the name of the program. Now it's called Comunidad Flexible, before Chile Califica. But the decrees are the same, the contents are the same. And as teacher, when we're teaching, we have little space to do something, because if you didn't know, when these adults that go to Modalidad Flexible, they have to take a test at the end of the semester. That are exactly the same as what you get in the books. In the books, you get the biography of Juan Pablo II. In the test, you get the one from Francisco, I don't know the name of the book. But it's the same thing. So, as I really like to discuss these topics with them, and actually I do, normally we don't have the space to discuss or go beyond the text, because we have the responsibility, because they go to school or go to this program to finish their studies. So we divert our attention to something else, maybe they're going to fail. So it's really difficult to do something. And to change the government policies, you know that you got to have lobby and all that stuff that go beyond that, what you can do as a teacher. So one of the things you can do is be aware of this and talk about it and discuss it and enforce these changes to the social movement.
Okay, we have time for one more short question, please, because of time constraints.
Two questions. One is, what is lionization? Because I understand the idea that men could be lionized.
It's like they are put in a pedestal.
They're regarded as celebrities, and they use adjectives to.
Oh, yes,
And you admire them, it's like, he's a man.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. However, I have a problem with the concept of imposing. Because you're asking yourself quite rightly, does the state, the government, whoever has the right to impose blah, blah, blah. Then you go with an alternative. Now, that alternative will follow exactly the same path as that thing that you're accusing of being imposed. So essentially what you're saying is that we should be imposing something else. Because the mechanism will be the same. If it goes in the textbook, and the textbook is the instrument for imposition, then by changing the content of the textbook, you're just finding something else to impose. If that is the reading of impose. So, because, well, at some point there is some material, but the material definitely has this ideological underpinning, which is provided in the effect that it's quite nothing. But still there's a problem of, well, how do you change that without actually changing the structure of how you choose the person who writes it, and what to show to people, and which idea of diversity or non-diversity will you expose?
That's
How do you expose or not impose?
Because with the group of people I work as educador popular, we call the something that's from education, like typical American education, curriculum territorializado. Where are the communities who should be entitled to decide what they're working with, not imposed from the government. If you go to the Marxist vision of this, you can go to the end. It's nothing new. It's nothing new that the own communities can decide what they can learn. You got in the 60s, NU has almost half of the curriculum that they proposed that it was decided by the community. So what we are doing, we are proposing, is not only with questionnaire, but with focus group, with everyday like evaluation assessment. We have this called curriculum territorializado. I have all the topics that the same people want to learn about. For example, if you contextualize these books, in the second level, in third and fourth grade of high school, you got one unit called sex education. And you learn all about contraceptives and how to avoid getting pregnant. That's contextualized. But what we talk about territorialized is that at the end of the year, like 7 or 8 women that attended school last year got pregnant. And we talked to them like normally. And most of them, like 5 out of 7 or 8, they got pregnant because their husbands wanted to have children. As they didn't have a really strong conception about their bodies, okay, he's my husband, he's my partner, So what the hell? I go pregnant. In the textbooks, you don't have that. You have what the government and the people out there think about sexual topics. So see, we think that the communities have not only the right, but like the obligation to learn what they want to learn.
Thank you very much. That's